back, everybody. This is Edwin, the Magic Engineer, and I'm finally here to talk about my Arcade1up cabinets. I've been talking about these on Instagram, and I've been showing them for a little while, and they're not completely new. This is not the first video about them. Others have been making really good videos about them, some of which I'll point you directly to, the others that are making a lot of content on it. But very quickly, let me show you what these things are. What we have here is we have some arcade cabinets that they look like normal arcade cabinets, but they're just a little bit smaller. You can see a full-size arcade cabinet here, and someone's sitting at these little ones. They call them 3/4 size. And they actually are officially licensed by the people who made these games originally. So you can see they've got like Street Fighter 2, like several editions, and Galaga, Galaxian, Rampage, Gauntlet, Joust. All these old classic arcade games, even like Pac-Man and things like that, are actually in there. Okay, so here's my little mini arcade that I've got at my house. And as you can see, I bought several of these machines. But as you can also see, I've been unable to pick up the actual risers that you can get to lift them up. And the risers would normally just go right underneath and lift them up about 18 inches to bring the panel about to the height where you want it. These chairs I have them sitting on have them a little bit higher than what they would typically be. So they would typically be about this high off the ground, so this panel would be just a little bit lower. Okay, so the risers are the first thing I want to talk about. In the arcade games here on the main website, you can see a picture of a full-grown man here with a Arcade1up, and it's sitting on a riser. So you can buy these to make these smaller than normal machines get a little bit taller. Cool Toy is a really awesome YouTube channel. And the guy who runs this has been going over these Arcade1up boxes just a ton. He's got all kinds of videos on them. So he's got a much better source to go to than I am for that kind of information. Yeah, and that's the guy that does the Cool Toy website. Now also, there's a lot of stuff you can buy for him. I'll talk about these later, but these are like the additional knobs that you can buy to replace the ones that come with the machine. And this is the tape I'm going to go over later that you can use to outline the machines. You can just pick those up on like eBay and stuff. And this is a company that actually makes vinyl graphics kits that you can put right over the outside of your cabinet to give it like a different look and such, which is really cool. And people definitely use that when they're doing like memes and stuff like that. Arcade Graphics that does what I thought was going to be their own risers with their own custom graphics on it. And so I ended up getting some for Christmas, and here's what they ended up being, and they're honestly pretty cool. But so this one was for the Street Fighter machine. You can see it's like all the Street Fighter characters, and this one was for the Galaga machine, and as you can see it's the Galaga graphic, which I think actually is like this. Yeah, so this will be over there in the Galaga and Galaxian machine. And the last one is the Pac-Man, which is just, it's so fitting. I mean, they're actually very well made, and I'm excited about them, but the only gripe I've got is in the website, it very much looks like you're not only buying the graphic, it looks like you're actually buying the riser. And that's a big deal because these risers are just super hard to find. I can't find them anywhere. So I thought I was going to get their own custom riser built to the same specs as Arcade1up, but with those graphics, turns out it was just actually just a graphic for the front, which is a little disappointing. And back on the original website for Arcade1up, if you scroll down, you can see the companies. These are the companies that primarily are selling the actual cabinets at this moment. But I expect these, if they really take off, to be sold by even more people and even more places, since it's such a cool thing. So anyways, let me show you my cabinets. Okay, so you get a really cool boot up sound when these things first start. You guys have got to see that. So I'm going to power cycle this so you can see. It just takes a second, but there's a power switch here and there's a volume switch here with 3 levels. That's the Arcade1up logo, and as you can tell, it's nice and loud. The speaker's right here, and you do get a little bit of bass with the box, you know, based on the cabinet build and how it basically is. When the games start, like this one, you got 4 different choices of what game you want to do. So let's say I was going to actually do Rampage, then I hit the A button, and then the player button does select. And you can go back to that menu at any point by holding down the coin button, basically, for like 5 seconds. You'll go back to that menu. So now I'm going to start playing the game. Now I'm using the gorilla here. I forget what his name is. So, whoops. And this actually just plays just like the old Rampage, because as far as I know, I mean, it literally is the old Rampage. Just has a couple of like little modifications for ROMs. I'm getting a lot of food here. And yeah, these arcade games, they're just so fantastic because I mean, they're the old ROM games. They're fun to play. You know, they were well made back in the day. Gosh, I'm getting a ton of food. You see all that food I'm getting? I don't know if you guys can see this really well. Now, since it doesn't cost anything also, I could bring in a couple more people and just, like, punch them if I wanted to. Just like that. So, Street Fighter is definitely the most popular one, I think, or going to be the most popular out of all these. Because, I'll turn down this volume for a second, because you've got the 2 joysticks, and you've got the 6 buttons, and you got the 2 coin buttons, and so the default game that it comes with is great, but with all these controls, if you were going to actually buy one of these to mod, and to like add more games to it, this would probably be the best platform to begin with, because it's already got so many good controls and so many good buttons, you know, with every direction control and stuff. Okay, let's try this out. Aha, he did the slow fireball on me. Oh, he psyched me out. I thought he was going to punch or something. Take that, Roo! So I probably even have to turn down the volume a little bit here so you guys can actually hear me, because even though there's just the one speaker here, it does actually get pretty decently loud. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. Ah, he faked me out that time. Red fireball, you see it? Ah, I missed my fireball there. Ah, too far away. Oh! I wanna give a dragon uppercut. Oh! I was gonna try to do a dragon uppercut, but I missed it up. Okay, so one thing that's also really nice about this machine is you've got all the different forms of Street Fighter. So notice actually now that I go back to the main menu, if I wanted to play the newer characters, I can just do this one. And now I've got all the characters, you know, like DJ and Li Fang and all them. Okay, now, this Pac-Man machine is so awesome, and it's because of this. Listen, listen. Isn't that great? I'm going to turn the volume down so you can actually hear me. So, this is actually a machine that my wife wanted, actually even more than I did. Oh. I'm being pretty risky here. You gotta really go for it when you're playing this game. Oh! Oh! See, I deserved that. I totally deserved that, didn't I? I was being like way too risky. Okay, now this one's one of my absolute favorite machines. Galaga's just way better than Galaxian, so of course I'm going to play this all the time. I actually want these guys to capture me because I want my double ship. The double ship is what it's all about in this game, because then you can get those bonus levels like really well. I want my double ship. There we go. There we go, double ship. Okay, here we go. Now's when it really starts. Oh, that was good. Oh, I missed one. Oh, missed two. Two missed. 38. Okay, so even though these machines are really cool and I'm really enjoying them, there is a couple things that I've definitely got to let you guys know about that actually exist, some issues that exist with them. One of them is that the graphics here on the front oftentimes get rubbed off. People are worried about that, and it's happened quite a bit. As a result, what Arcade1up has done is you can see how there's like a plexiglass cover that I've got on this one, and it's cut exactly just like the machine. I just called up Arcade1up and I told them that I bought the Street Fighter machine, and at the time I had only had that on the Rampage, and they sent this cover for the Street Fighter, and I've since then learned that I believe they make them for all of the machines, so I'm going to get this plexiglass cover for all of them, and they didn't charge me anything for actually doing it. These little ball tops, they're not the normal original arcade ones, and they do unscrew, so you have to either put some thread lock underneath it or replace it with some other ones that you can get that maybe I'll link in the video or something that are a bit more kind of oval shaped and they stick on a little bit better. Another thing is that you notice that I've got a lot of machines with a lot of joysticks here. Well, like some of them, like this one is like really loose, and the others, like the Street Fighter ones, I've got work just fine. But I think they're generally the same controller as these, so you know your quality might vary. So even though that's the case, though, it does work, and the even better news is that people are releasing all kinds of upgrade pieces for these machines all the time. So I've already found several things online where you can get like really high-end joysticks and buttons and stuff and switches and replace all them, and maybe even like add like another speaker or another speaker down on the cabinet. So all that is getting, people are doing all kinds of upgrade and cool kits that you can, pump up all your machines with. And another one is adding tape like around like the side to actually pop the colors out. Like I think some people add like green tape to their Rampage cabinet to make all the green tracing here on the side, make it all just look nice, kind of like you have the red that came by default on the Pac-Man, which really gave it a really cool arcade kind of look. Also on my Rampage cabinet, the first marquee that I got, the graphic was actually upside down. So when I called up Arcade1up, they actually sent an updated graphic that inverted it the right way. And I've got the other one, I'll put a picture on the screen probably, from the first one that I actually created. So that one had a little bit of an issue as well. So yeah, there are definitely some issues that actually happen. Like one more that I know about, on the Rampage cabinet, when you play Gauntlet, when you get to level 30 right now, it freezes. And I believe that there's an updated ROM that's on its way. And I already know that if you get into the system and you work on the computer board, which is actually right behind the screen, basically, a big silver box right behind the screen. If you open that up, there's actually a USB port that you can interface with that has the 5-volt ground, D+ and D- pins. And you can solder that right up to an existing USB cable, and then you can actually access the computer board and do some updates and changes and things, even access like other games. And Cool Toy showed that on one of his videos, and I'll be sure to link that as well. So I mention all that because since there's a bug in the Gauntlet game on level 30 for this machine, I assume they're going to have a ROM update, and I think I've heard them actually talk about that. Okay, so there's something that really has to be mentioned when you're talking about these machines. Many people talk about the fact that you actually can get a cabinet like this, and you can mod it, change out the actual computer board into it, use like an Arduino setup or something like that, or and just do all kinds of other arcades and ROMs, in which case the Street Fighter cabinet would definitely be the one to do it on because it's got all the buttons and 2 joysticks, so this would probably be your starting platform. And you can definitely do that. And you could even just build your own. And so some people complain about the price of these cabinets based on the fact that there's so many like ROM emulators and ROMs out there already, and it wouldn't be too terribly hard. But there's a couple things that you got to mention about that. One of them is that these machines, they're already like cut, they're already built, they've already got the cabinet and everything, they've already got the graphics on it, so they're a great starting point like already, right? And at $250 that you can get many of them for to $300, I don't think the price is that far like out of like scope, honestly, because it's a lot of work, to sit there and do all the woodwork and cut the panels and make the box and upload the ROM. And if you were going to value your own time at like $8 an hour to $20 an hour, and you look at how much time you're spending on it, I mean, you kind of gotta love the effort to actually do it compared to like what just buying one of these cabinets will actually do. Another point is that when you use like an emulator or a ROM, it's not the same thing as using an actual machine. These actual, legit machines, they're just the coolest thing with all the actual original graphics that would come on all these machines, like the old Galaga graphics and the old Pac-Man graphics and stuff. That's something that really needs to be considered. I mean, the nostalgia and the experience that you get when you're playing these machines is very different, and that gets very underrated. And so many other people have made the point, look at that, I just started a game. Some other people have made the point that if you sit down at a game, like a MAME box, and it's got like 1,000 games on it, you spend like 20 minutes just picking which game you want to play, and you probably didn't have a lot of time anyways. Whereas these machines sitting here, yeah, I don't have a lot of selection, but the gameplay is really fun, the experience is there, and I bought the games that I actually like on the cabinets, and so honestly I think it's really worth it. So that definitely needs to be mentioned. And one final thing, if you're going to use an emulator like a MAME 32 or something like that, and you're going to download all these ROMs, well, legally speaking, morally speaking, you don't own the rights to those games. And I know a lot of people don't care about that, and some people actually do. I actually do, at least to some degree. I do care about that. And so there's also the thought process that, since I actually bought these machines and they're actually officially licensed, I actually legitimately have every right to play these games and enjoy them as they are. So I don't have to worry about that moral aspect at all. So, and again, I'm not judging anyone for that. I'm just saying that exists, right? Some people do care about that, and this is a legit way to do that. So there you go. That's them. That's my Arcade1up cabinets. I think they're a ton of fun. And again, I can't stress enough that even though you can build your own cabinets, you can make your own emulators, you can add your own ROMs in, and there's a lot more than you could do than these typical custom ones. A lot of people are asking the question, who are these for? Because someone who knows about those and knows about electronics usually has the ability to actually mod them themselves. Well, who it's for is, I think, people exactly in my kind of situation who has the money to actually buy them, because they're not terribly expensive, but doesn't have a lot of time to go into a garage and woodwork and cut out all the cabinet pieces and measure them to size, and then build the Android or Arduino-based emulation system and add all the ROMs and work through all the kinks and solder all the wires. I mean, that's a lot of work to go through all that. Can you do it yourself? Yes, but it's a ton of work, right? And that would also be just not completely legit. Like these are officially licensed, so you've got the full blessing and permission of the company who actually owns these ROMs and these games to actually go do this. So I think there's validity there, and I just love these cabinets. I'm probably going to be upgrading them as I go, buying higher end joysticks and doing lit up buttons and things like that. And I might just buy at least one cabinet and do like a main thing at some point, so I can just do a ton of games on at least one cabinet. So I thought you guys would want to see this. It's a lot of fun. I hope you're all having a great time and you had a great holidays, Christmas and a New Year's, and I'll see you guys in the rest of 2019. Bye.